Now we're going to get on to ranking our favorite Spider-Mans from
Yes.
last to first.
Last to first.
Right. Okay.
All the Spider-Man movies. We're not going to include Venom, and Jake has not seen Into the Spider-Verse. All right, here we go. Coming in at number 9 for me is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I just did a rewatch of this film not too long ago, and man, it's a mess. There's just too much stuff going on. There's Peter, and then there's Oscorp, and there's Max. Harry turns into a goblin. Only Spider-Man's blood can make him Spider-Man. That's why no one else can be Spider-Man. And I'm like, I thought anyone can be Spider-Man. The storyline was just kind of a mess for me there, and that's why Amazing Spider-Man 2 is my number 9.
Last on my list is Spider-Man Far From Home. That one was just... It seemed like a filler in between Homecoming and No Way Home. Like, it just seemed like it was looking back to Homecoming and it was looking forward to No Way Home. For me, the biggest thing was the dialogue. It was just kind of a little lacking for me. I mean, it was still entertaining and fun, like all the MCU movies are.
And coming in at number 8 for me is The Amazing Spider-Man. It's the first Andrew Garfield one. This movie it's fine. I just never felt really connected to the characters. I wasn't really invested in the story with the lizard and then Peter's parents, that whole conspiracy or whatever. I liked Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield's chemistry. That was good. But the whole ending where Lizard is just on top of the tower turning everyone into lizards, I was like, I didn't really buy into it. But it's still a fine film. It's fine. But it's lower on the list for me for sure. That's why it's my number 8 Spider-Man film.
Okay, the next for me was Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire. I think it was released 2000, I want to say.
2002.
2002, was it?
Yeah.
But it was just, oh man. Rewatching it, it's slower than 2 and 3, which I mean, I understand, because it's the first one, but at the same time, like the effects, watching the effects now, you're like, oh my gosh, that's horrible.
So then coming in at number 7 for me is Spider-Man 3. I still enjoy this movie. I remember as a kid thinking it was like the greatest movie ever, but as an adult, you start to realize this movie has lots of problems. Kind of has like problems the same as The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where so much is going on. Venom is just shoehorned in there by the studio because Venom was popular at that point, from what I've heard. It would have been a more compelling story if they just focused like on Sandman, and maybe even Harry would have been fine, but there's just too much going on here. And the whole, it's funny now, but the whole Bully Maguire scene where he's just dancing, now take on this, and all that stuff that he says, it's meme worthy now. But
so funny.
I still I still like this movie better than the previous movies. So Spider-Man 3 is at my number 7.
Alright, for my number 6, we have Amazing Spider-Man 2. I mean, yeah, for the reasons Naz mentioned, it was definitely not as good as Amazing Spider-Man 1, in my opinion. The villains, like, Jamie Foxx, it was just, like, kind of poorly done.
Number 6 for me is Spider-Man Homecoming. I didn't really care too much about the events happening in the movie. I liked Vulture. He was a good villain. Michael Keaton's acting was great there.
Yeah,
just coming off of wherever Peter left off in Civil War, he just kind of still figuring out, I want to be an Avenger, but then he's figuring out, no, I have to be Spider-Man here.
For kind of the same reasons, that's my number 5 actually. Yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming. So yeah, entertaining, but not as good as some of the others. Yeah. Okay.
So for my number 5 ranking, I will put Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie has problems, for sure, but I just found it a lot more entertaining than Spider-Man Homecoming. I like the different settings. They're in like Venice, they're in London. I like Mysterio as a villain. He was cool. Jake Gyllenhaal's acting, very, very good.
Number 4 for me is going to be The Amazing Spider-Man. The reason why I liked it was a new take, seeing Spider-Man 3 with Tobey. Was that 2006? 7. And right after that, seeing Andrew Garfield, it had a new flair to it. His character was so different, and it just had this kind of freshness to it. I don't know. So it's kind of nostalgic thinking about that one for me. So that's why it's number 4 for me.
And number 4 for me will be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This movie was just a pleasant surprise watching. I was late to the train on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but then I kept hearing really good things about it. I first thought like the trailers, the animation was weird. I'm just like, oh god. But then I watched it. It was such a pleasant surprise. The whole story with Miles and figuring out how he's Spider-Man. And Kingpin is in there, which is a really, really good villain. And all the Spider-Men come in. Very, very fun movie. Really nothing to complain about. So that's why it's ranked as my number 4 favorite Spider-Man movie.
Number 3 is going to be Spider-Man 2. With you got Tobey, you got Doc Ock in there. Doc Ock's character is so well laid out. The character development for him is so well done. And he's such a good villain, and they did such a good job. I don't know.
Brilliant but lazy.
Brilliant, but the power of the sun.
All right, so coming in at my number 3 is the original Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2002. Man, this is just a pure nostalgia trip for me. Seeing that first Spider-Man film in the theater, I think I was with my mom. She took me to the first Spider-Man. And from that point on, I was like, man, I want to be Spider-Man. Like, seeing him swing across New York. And then we see Willem Dafoe. It's a great villain. And I'm glad in No Way Home they took off the mask so we can see his acting. But as a kid, I dug the film.
And my number 2 is going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. My reasons, I think, we just did the whole video on it.
I know, we just did the whole video on it.
It was epic. It was freaking awesome. It was entertaining. You had the magic elements from Doctor Strange. You had all the Spider-Men together. For that reason, the epicness of it, it's going to be my number 2.
Yeah. And at number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home for me as well. A lot of what Jake just said, a lot of what we just mentioned in the video. And I'll repeat what I said at the beginning of this video. If you've watched all the Spider-Man films, all 8 or 9 of them, and then you see everyone there at the very end, you are rewarded for watching these movies. Yeah, that's about it. I love Spider-Man No Way Home. It's fantastic seeing all the Spider-Man there for sure. That's why it's my number 2. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, we're down to my number 1. So my number 1 is Spider-Man 3.
Comment section. Go get him. Yes, go get him, comment section.
You got my man Eddie Brock in there, bro, from that 70s show.
Eric Foreman.
Eric Foreman, dude. And then you got Sandman. And then you got, okay, because of the memeage and the TikTok we have for Bully Maguire, that alone kind of catapults this movie for me into its whole another level. You know, you have to find us some shade. Now dig on this. See a chump. See a chump. And then the whole, obviously, and it's also just crazy entertaining. And you obviously watching it now, you're like, man, this is kind of dumb. But watching it at the time, you're like, man, this is freaking awesome. Dude has a black suit now. Dude's like mixed up with Venom, and then he's like, when he's tearing it up, you remember in the
church
bell tower, yeah. And boom, and it's just like, yeah, the
special effects hold up.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
For the time, it was good. Yeah, it was really, really good. Probably for the main reason of it being the Bully Maguire movie. Probably my number 1.
Go get him, comment section. Go get him. And don't forget that in Spider-Man 3, it was not Venom, it was not Harry, it was not Sandman who was Peter's greatest enemy. His greatest enemy was that damn door.
Yeah. And Mr. What was his name?
Mr. Ditkovich.
Mr. Ditkovich.
Best enemy.
And his sweet daughter making Peter some cookies.
You get your money when you fix this damn door.
Oh my gosh! And what was her name? Gwendolyn. With the white hair in Spider-Man 3. Is that her name?
Gwen Stacy.
Oh my gosh, she was so pretty in that movie. I was like, man, she's super.
For my number 1,
it's ranking up there, eh? You gonna move it up?
Yeah.
No, okay.
For my number 1, it is Spider-Man 2. There is just nothing for me to complain about this movie. For me personally, I don't see anything wrong with the movie. It's a perfect Spider-Man film for me. The train scene we see at the beginning, Peter, what he's dealing with as Spider-Man. Like, he has all these problems: work, school, MJ and Harry, paying rent. That we see Peter's struggles as Peter and as Spider-Man, and he loses his powers. He doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. And the writing of this movie was perfect, and Dr. Octopus was a fantastic villain. Fantastic. That's why Spider-Man 2 is my number 1.
Comment below with things you guys liked or didn't like about our rankings. You know, keep it nice.
Comment section, get them.
And please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.